So the Democratic race got a lot clearer tonight. Basically, Hillary Clinton is going to be the Democratic nominee. She has a very large lead in the delegate count. Bernie Sanders was really looking to some of the states that were up for grabs on Tuesday. On the Republican side, you saw Donald Trump start to build his case toward the nomination, but a little less clear than on the Democratic side, mostly because he lost in Ohio to John Kasich. Ted Cruz is still finishing in relatively strong second place finishes in some of these states. As Cruz and Kasich stay in the race, they're going to continue to accumulate delegates. Their goal now will be not necessarily to get the 1237 delegates needed to clinch the nomination, but to keep Trump from doing so and then fight this out at a contested convention. We haven't gone through that in sort of modern political history, and everyone's trying to figure out what the rules would be, how you would try to get delegates to come over to your side, how many ballots this would go through. So it's a big open question about how a contested convention would go. It's also unclear whether the Republicans could really go down that road if Trump entered a convention with maybe not the exact number of delegates needed to clinch, but if he was very close, if he entered with more wins in states and more voters having backed him than any other candidate. The Republican Party is probably going to end this primary season pretty divided, but that would be almost an irreparable divide in the party if you took that away from him. There is a mathematical chance for Ted Cruz to get the nomination. It's just a much longer shot than Donald Trump's at this point. The biggest problem for Cruz, though, is that he is not necessarily liked by a lot of Republicans in Washington, and you may see an effort to try to have those people rally around Kasich, keep him in, look for a possible third-party option. John Kasich is now going to find himself under the spotlight in a way that he hasn't been throughout this primary. He's been largely irrelevant in most of these states that have voted, except his home state of Ohio now. He has one big challenge right off the bat, and that's money. He needs to have donors put some money behind his campaign, especially because his only option is to go to a contested convention. For Hillary Clinton, you're really going to start seeing her pivot toward the general election. You already saw her do that in her victory speech after her wins on Tuesday. She's focused on Donald Trump and pretty much Donald Trump alone. Sanders really, though, has a choice. He does have to think about the good of his party. When you have a heated primary, that it can take a little bit of time for these wounds to heal, not so much for the candidates, but for their supporters. And if Hillary Clinton is going to win in November, she's going to need these Bernie Sanders supporters.